Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
You've got Russia.
Of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
France is a disaster. So many bad things are happening. So many bad things are happening. You look at Paris. You know, Paris is not Paris.
I think this is one of the great cities, one of the most beautiful cities in the world. And you have a great leader now. You have a great president.
The United States will withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord.
Something could happen with respect to the Paris Accord. We'll see what happens. If it happens, that'll be wonderful. And if it doesn't, that'll be okay, too.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists.
It's great to be with my friend, the president of Mexico.
We give state dinners to the heads of China. I say, why are you doing state dinners for them? They're ripping us left and right. Just take them to McDonald's and go back to the negotiating table. Seriously. It's true.
And on behalf of the United States, I would like to just say that it's an honor to have gotten to know you. We are developing and have developed a wonderful relationship.
You've got Russia.
Is what you got in foreign policy. I mean, he debunks himself. You know, I tell you, you know, another tweet storm this morning of false statements. You know, for the next what? He says 7.5 years. Oh, God help us. For the next 3.5 years, hopefully less than that, you wake up every morning to check what insane thing Donald J. Trump was tweeting in the wee hours of the morning. It's like having a puppy. It is. It's like having a puppy. You know, you wake up and you just hope there isn't some awful mess, that they made it through the night. He never makes it through the night. Somebody take him for a walk. Just go. Take him for a walk. Walk him around. Turn off the TV. You know, get him outside. Because I swear to God, this is like his version of getting up in the middle of the night and taking a pee. Except he just does it on everybody else and says, it's raining. Take him outside. Take him for a walk. Do something. Teach him knitting. Get him a hobby, for God's sake. Get him into sports. I don't care. Just something. Anything. He has lunch today with the Republican senators, so that they can plan how to move us backward on health care. Oh, that's a great... Yay! Yay! Now, you know, we've played all these video clips for you. You know that he said that he was going to get rid of Obamacare on day one. And then yesterday we played you the debunk of what? It's day 64. I didn't say I was going to get rid of it. No, you said day one. So technically it's true, right? He didn't say that day 64. He said day one. He was going to get rid of it on day one. Now, he has been president for 6 months, and I'm wondering if the reason he hasn't gotten rid of Obamacare is because he's not really president. Wouldn't that be something? All right, I get my fantasies too. If I have to read his crap, then I get my own too. But, you know, yesterday he was tweeting this. The Republicans are not going to own it, the failure of Trump care. We'll let Obamacare fail, and then the Democrats are going to come to us. You know, if he had any less vision, he would be legally blind. He is legally blonde, which is an insult to Elle. Do you know? I mean, really, and that whole movie, which I love. But, you know, I let Obamacare fail. And, you know, he just came back from the City of Lights. The dim bulb did. He came back from the City of Lights to celebrate with them Bastille Day. Somebody ought to really brief him on what Bastille Day is, because his let Obamacare fail thing is the same as Marie Antoinette's let them eat cake. Do you know what I'm saying? This is so insane what he's doing. You know, the let Obamacare fail. You know, it's like the American people are now being held hostage by a Russian agent posing as the president of the United States. We're being held hostage. And honestly, I don't believe he cares whether the hostages die. I really don't think he gives a rat's ass. It's unbelievable. So this is government by sabotage. Now, we know Russia is an oligarchy / kleptocracy. So what do we have here? A sabotocracy? Because he's sabotaging all of our health, all of our well-being, all of our certainty. We can't plan for the future. You can't do a budget for next year because you don't know what healthcare is going to cost. He's still saying let it fail, which means, he's got plenty of levers he can pull. He cannot fund, the gap payments that go to poor people or people who can't afford the difference between the deductibles and, the actual out-of-pocket costs. They get a little something. He could actually stop those payments. People would have to, cancel their health insurance because they wouldn't be able to afford it. I mean, he could do a lot of things. And that's why I'm saying, this is like, holding us all hostage and doesn't care if the hostages are going to die. And then he just keeps on saying, we're not going to own it. I'm not going to own it. The Republicans are not going to own it. So Harry Truman of him, the buck stops anywhere but here. This man is a baby. He's like a little puppy. He really is, except puppies are cute, and he's 70 years old and cranky. What did he say to John McCain? He called him a crusty old guy. John McCain just had a craniotomy. You know what? Somebody did a little economic look at what that operation would have cost John McCain, to remove this giant blood clot in his brain had he not had what he has, the government health insurance plan, which is basically Blue Cross Blue Shield super duper coverage. It would have cost him $76,000. And, that's not that means that, the operation alone, not keeping him in the hospital for 4 days, which would have been another $100,000. Do you know what I'm saying? So $176,000. It's great. And so he calls that man who's recovering from this a crusty old man. Somebody tell him, somebody close to him, some advisor tell him, Jared, whisper in his ear, get well soon would have done. Do he just can't help himself. He just can't stop being obnoxious and rude. Because he's a child. So today he tweets, quote, the Republicans never discuss how good their health care bill is. And it will get even better at lunchtime because he had the Republicans up for lunch. They all walked out and said, let's go back to regular order. Let's get 60 votes. Let's work across the aisle. This is like it's dead. It was dead on arrival. Nobody likes it. 20% of the American people are for this plan. Everybody else hates this plan. And what Trump is doing to the Republicans who have to run for re-election, which is all the Republicans in the House and a good chunk of them in the Senate, is he saying to them, choose between your constituents who hate this plan, or me. That's what he's saying. And they're like, we're going to choose our constituents because, frankly, as much as you want to rig the vote, and he does want to rig the vote, today they announced that they're having this, their first meeting of the Chris Kobach Election Fraud Commission. It was a very sick thing. But anyway, so it's going to be better at lunchtime, he says. They all walk out and they said, oh, please, let's just go back to regular order. So why was it better at lunchtime? Because if you repeal it alone, you have 32 million people without health care, but you get a Cobb salad? Is that why it's better at lunchtime? Now he's back to, yesterday he was at repeal only. Just repeal it, and let them come crawling to us. That's why I read you yesterday's tweets. Today he's back to we need to repeal and replace it, right? We need to repeal and replace it. And then he tweeted, really, seriously, this is what he tweeted. The Dems scream death as O'Care dies. What the? It's like a mistranslation of a Russian movie. It makes no sense. I mean, who the hell sits at their computer and types in the Dems scream death as OC dies and then hits send? Who does that? Who would choose that? Who sees that on the screen and says post? Who types that in the first place? And then you have to remember, he's the president. Oh, damn. So the Dems scream death as O'Care dies. It sounds like a horror movie for the summer. It sounds like some sci-fi thing. It sounds like everybody, the lights will go dark and everybody remains seated when Senator Elizabeth Warren has the last scene. You won't believe what's going to happen. This is a really strange man, I have to say. And the Senate is taking all these steps to repeal and replace Obamacare, because Mitch McConnell is probably in a contest with Donald Trump for the title of worst human being in the world. Seriously, I can't decide between Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump. Who is the worst person in the world? I mean, they keep telling us it's collapsing. It's collapsing. Oh, and by the way, I got to show you what he's doing to the Republicans. Yesterday, I know we had some technical problems yesterday, so it was on me. I apologize. I allowed for our systems to do a random update without having it done when we're off the air. And it just screwed up all the routing of a lot of our plugins, and that's what happened. So anyway, that's for the geeks. It will never happen again. But this morning he's having this lunch, and he actually embarrassed. Now Dean Heller from Nevada has got to run for re-election. He's one of those senators who's up for re-election. So is Ted Cruz. Just saying. But this is what he does to Dean Heller. He tries to humiliate him in public.
The other night, I was very surprised when I heard a couple of my friends, they really were and are. They might not be very much longer, but that's okay. I think I have to get them back. That's right. I refuse. Well, no, you didn't go out there. This was the one we were worried about. You weren't there. But
that's
you're going to
Dean
be
Heller sitting next to him.
Look, he wants to remain a senator, doesn't he? Okay.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
And I think the people of your state, which I know very well, I think they're going to appreciate what you hopefully will do. Any senator who votes against starting debate is really telling America that you're fine with Obamacare.
No, anybody who doesn't want to debate the Cruz bill, the Mitch McConnell bill, is saying we don't want to die. And our constituents don't want to die. And you might think you're a cult leader, but we're not suicidal yet, is really what's going on here. And he humiliated Dean Heller. I was sickened by that. Not that I'm a big fan of the Dean Heller, but at least Dean Heller isn't willing to sacrifice his constituents or his Senate seat for a man who's creating a healthcare crisis that doesn't exist. He keeps on saying, the whole thing's imploding. The whole thing is in a death spiral. What's in a death spiral is Trump care. Trump care is in a death spiral. Trump care is dead. He keeps saying Obamacare is dead. Obamacare is not dead. I have it. It freaking works. It's alive. It's alive. What is dead is Trump care. That's what's dead. It's unbelievable. So here you have a president who is willing to create this healthcare catastrophe, just to avoid taking the blame at the White House for the healthcare catastrophe that he's causing. This repeal only thing would be a disaster, to use his words, a disaster. So this is just ridiculous. I mean, I remember the good old days. I am that old where I can remember the good old days. And those were the days when the Republicans only did things like debt limit crises and budget ceiling crises and shut down the government and, in protest because they were spoiled little rotten babies, But they've moved on to creating completely unnecessary crises in healthcare now. And simply because they promised for 7 years that they would. They have had no plan. Donald Trump lied when he said he had a plan. He doesn't have a plan. He never had a plan. 7 years, they didn't have a plan. And now they're just obstructionists. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.